to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
AM 560 KWTO Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air, your authorized Amana dealer, with your host Mark Withers and Mary Pearson.
Good morning, Mr. Mark. It's always good to see ya.
Well, it's always good to be here.
Are you warming up? I saw you wore your heavy leather jacket
I tell
today.
you what, I broke out the leather today.
It is stinking cold, isn't it?
It is. I tell you what, and you look out there and you see the sun shining all nice and bright.
It looks gorgeous.
It does. It's beautiful out there, but I'm telling you what, when you go out, it's cold. I went out.
It is cold.
Yeah, I went out this morning and I had a little frost on my windshield on my truck, and it took forever for the truck to warm up. So I had this can of ice melt stuff. You spray on it. Got that out. Didn't have my gloves on or nothing. That can was so cold in my hand that it just I sprayed a little bit on. I just had to throw the can down because my hand was just actually aching.
Man.
Yeah. And I'd left a little bit of soda in the cup holder, and of course, everything was just frozen.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so it's cold. I'll tell you what, it just chills you to the bone out there this morning.
Yes, it does. And I was getting ready to come in this morning, and I got a call from one of my girlfriends that she lives down at the lake, and she said, "Mary, are you still here?" And I said, "Yes. What's going on?" They didn't have any water.
Wow.
So the people up there, they're up the hill from me, and everyone on that well woke up this morning to no water. So she said, "Can we come down and take showers?" Come on down. So they came down and took showers. So I was a little late getting to work, but that's all right.
Oh, that's okay.
So hopefully it's just when things thaw out, maybe their well will start working again.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
yeah, I'll tell you, I'm sure there's a lot of people without water, and I bet the plumbers are just, running nuts.
Oh, they've just got to be going crazy.
Yeah.
Got to be going crazy.
And so, if you can leave a little bit of water running or something, it's great just to, a drip, especially if you got a faucet on an outside wall or something, you want to do that, and to make sure that you don't have any frozen pipes.
Is your computer playing music?
I think it is. Somewhere. I kept hearing something, and I didn't know what it was.
Thank you. We're like, where'd that music come from?
Where's that coming from? Yes. Where's that? Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Well, there we go, folks. Yeah. Live radio. You never know.
Yeah, live radio. You just never know what's going to happen. I kept hearing that. I thought, where's that coming from? And then I realized, yes.
It's from the computer you're sitting by.
I'm sitting there playing on. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, before we get going, we got a new listener I got to say hi to.
Okay.
And April Gilbert, she is the owner of Auntie A's Family Childcare in Branson.
Oh.
And so glad to have her as a listener of the program.
Absolutely.
Yes. So hello, April. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Hope you guys maybe they're a little warmer there than we are here. I don't know.
They're a little farther south. Maybe
That's
they are.
True.
I
don't know.
So.
Of course, when you're this cold, 1 or 2 degrees, really, it's just cold.
Yeah, it's just cold.
It's
That's
just
right.
cold.
It is, no doubt. So, and we do have a special guest in the show.
We do.
Now, I'll tell you something about this guy. There's enough hot air right here. He'll warm us all up.
There we go. Yeah, he didn't even wear a coat in.
He's tough, I tell you.
To be young and what do they call it?
Well, I don't know about the tough, but the hot air part's probably true. Yeah.
Oh.
No, we have Ron Hartman with us again today. He hasn't been on for a while. We always like having Ron on the show.
Yes, we do.
It has been a while. It is good to be back, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. One of the reasons we want to have you back is because I've have some other friends who are realtors in the business, and I've been talking to them about different things, and they said actually the real estate market is not bad right now.
It is starting to pick up. This past 2013 was a really good year for the nation as a whole, but especially in this area. We saw some less time on market. House prices have gone up a little bit. About 5% is the The average sold price has gone up. A little bit less time on market, and that's always a good thing.
And interest rates are still good.
And interest rates are still good. I mean, people got really spoiled when they were at 3.5 and
Oh, yeah.
and that sort of stuff. But for
Mine's at 2.5.
yeah, there are some great interest rates out there in the past couple of years, but there's they're around the 4.5 to still under 5%
Which
for the
is
most part.
still a very, very good deal, especially if you're financing for 30 years.
Absolutely.
That's almost free money.
When I got my house in 2007, unfortunately, I bought at the peak of the market. My interest rate was 6.25, so it's still almost 2 points lower than what that was. So
Yeah.
it's still really good interest rates.
Absolutely. Well, I have some friends of mine, and they own a place in Nixa, and they have a lot of money, and so they have a place that's $1 million plus, and lots of acreage and a gorgeous house and all that. And they actually had a contract put on that the end of last year. They're closing in 2 weeks. So for that type of house to be moving is pretty good.
Yeah, those price ranges, those higher price ranges, really the 400, 500 and above price ranges are always going to have more time on market. But as you said, if they're starting to get contracts on those and those are starting to move, then the lower price ranges are going to be moving too.
Yeah, I was real happy for them because they've been trying to sell it for a little while, and then they took it off the market for a while, and then they put it back on, and it really didn't take that long if they put it back on to get a lot of activity. And actually, they had 3 people, jockeying for that piece of property. I'm like, 3 people for $1 million plus property?
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Sometimes it's just timing when it's on the market. The right buyer was out there at the right time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, I'm not in the market to buy or sell at this point, but I know that there are people out there who are looking and kind of want to know what's going on. I was real happy to know that some of the prices are starting to go up, even if it's just a little bit.
It is.
At least I think the market might be trending more in the right direction.
Well, and to be honest, everybody likes to see their values of homes go up a whole lot, but when they jump a high amount in a short period of time, that's when it gets dangerous,
Sure.
especially around here. I mean, I think the average appreciation for a home around here, if you look at most 10 to 15-year periods, is just right around 3%. So the 5% that we saw last year is a decent amount for
Sure.
this area.
Yeah, it is.
But I think it's still a decent, healthy amount. We're not gotten to once we start getting into the 10 and 15% appreciation in this area, and that's when you got to start questioning things a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we were both about to ask
Yeah.
at the same time. So what are you seeing most movement in the market? Is it still like the $100,000 to $120,000 homes, or is it a little more expensive homes at this point?
Well, those price ranges are always going to sell quicker than the higher price ranges. I mean, just because there's more buyers for the lower price ranges. So even in a hot market, you're going to see more action the lower in the price ranges you go. But those mid-range and kind of getting closer to the higher price ranges, and when I say higher price ranges, I mean 300, 350.
Right.
When you start getting into luxury, which is more above 500. But when you start getting those 200s and 300s are starting to move a lot better right now.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Something that I've noticed, Ron, is, and this is something you and I both pay attention to because we go out and we look a lot at, like foreclosed homes and stuff. I've noticed things have kind of slowed down just a little bit on the foreclosures, seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the foreclosures in this area are down half of what they were a year and a half ago, maybe more. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it's significantly less foreclosures in the area and short sales as well.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed a lot of that. A lot of times what Ron and I will do, he'll come up with a house or see something that just came on the market that's maybe been a foreclosure, or I will, and we'll hop in the car and we'll go look at it. And, there's still some good deals out there.
Absolutely.
But they're more selective. You really got to hunt for them now.
And you're going to be bidding against a lot of people if it's a really good deal.
Yeah.
I didn't get to put a bid on this one. It was one I was doing for a client, but there ended up being over 14 bids on a house once it got down to its price.
Yeah.
And they haven't disclosed what it sold for yet because it's just gone under contract, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was probably at least $5,000 or more above what their asking price was when it gets into a situation like that.
Oh yeah, if you've got that many, then and for a seller, that's a good position to be in.
Sure.
If you have that many people, then you can kind of bid it up.
You rarely see that amount of bids unless it's a foreclosure or just a steal of a deal. Like your normal, what I'll call a market value house, you'll be lucky if you get 2 bids at one time. Sometimes you'll be lucky when you just get one.
Get one
offer. You get pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
But But it still does happen for your regular market priced home to get a couple buyers going against each other, and you can, as a seller, you can play that to your advantage.
Sure.
Ron and I went out one day. I remember, it was cold and snowy and stuff, and we went to this particular house. And while we were there was like 3 others showed up to look at that.
To look at it.
Really?
Yeah. And
Are a lot of those people, though, investors as opposed to people who are going to actually occupy the home?
Most of the time,
of
yeah.
them, yeah.
Okay.
I'd say, I don't know, but the majority of the time, they're investors looking to either
Okay.
have it as a rental house or possibly flip it.
Flip it, okay.
Especially the ones that are willing to get out in the bad weather to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the ones that are the good deals, you can make some good money
Yeah.
if you're out looking and nobody else is.
Sure. Yeah. And one advantage that we kind of have when we go look at something, we can walk through, and for me being in the construction and everything, we can kind of get a really good idea what it's going to cost to rehab that house. And so Ron and I will talk, say, here's what we're going to have to put into this house in order for us to make any profit. It's going to have to be bought at this price. And I tell you what, a lot of times, I don't know whether the people just don't know, but they buy it where there's hardly any way that there's any profit built into it.
You know, I've always heard you make money when you buy, not when you sell.
Absolutely.
You have
Yeah.
to buy it the
You have
right.
to buy it right.
You have to
Yeah.
buy it right. If you don't buy it right, it's hard to sell it and make money.
Yeah.
I think we've all said it on the show before. I could take my house in my neighborhood, which it's a starter neighborhood, 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, kind of pretty simple. I could put the nicest hardwood floors, the nicest granite, and all the nicest stuff in there, and it's still really not going to be worth much more, if any more, than every other house in my neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I would have overdone it for the neighborhood. And if you buy a house at market value and you update everything to the nicest thing, you might get the most in your neighborhood, but the neighborhood is always going to
Right.
hold you down. And
Dictate, yeah.
Right.
to be able to make money, quote unquote, when you flip a house, it's really when you buy the house, to get it at the right price, to, as Mark said, be able to afford to have all the cost of remodeling it into that, and then plus your profit margin after that.
And see, I think what you just said is important, because when you go in and remodel something, you don't, and I've always told you, probably, unless you don't care about money or whatever, you don't want to own the nicest house in the neighborhood.
Generally not, yeah.
Because you're going to have a harder time.
Well, I'll correct you. It depends on what we paid for it.
That's true. That's true. But if you go in and you're going to do a remodel, you want to remodel on the level that of the neighborhood you're in.
Yeah.
If you're into an investing and that type of thing, you don't want to overdo it, just like you said, because even though if you overdo it, you might sell quicker and you might have more people interested in buying it. The ability to make money, or the amount of money you make, is going to be reduced
Absolutely.
based on the neighborhood it's
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
So,
And if you are remodeling something or trying to flip a house, you need to think if the amount you're paying for whatever upgrade you're doing, if you're going to get more than that back. I guess a good instance is if you have a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house that you're thinking about making it a 2-bathroom house by adding one on. Let's say that 2-bathroom house that second bathroom will raise your value of your house $8,000 to $10,000. Well, if it costs $8,000 to $10,000 to put the second bathroom out, you'll be lucky to break even, and you
Right.
might not necessarily get it back. So make sure you're going to get your return if you're doing it to flip a house. Don't just spend money just to make it nicer. Make sure your return's there as well.
isn't it still true that your biggest return is still like in your kitchen and your bathrooms, or has that changed?
No, those are the two most popular areas of the home. Those are the two most common things that people buy for, is a really nice kitchen, and we say bathrooms, but it's the master bathroom. That people,
is it?
Well, that's what most
Everyone
people
wants a
Right.
master
right.
suite.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they have kids, then the secondary bathroom comes into play too, for that. But those are the two main areas that people look at. And yes, you'll get your most return there, but that's also where you can waste the most money as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, you can spend lots of money in a kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And a bathroom.
$30,000 could go easily be spent in a kitchen if you get all the
Very
nicest
quickly,
stuff. And
yeah.
that's not a big kitchen. That's a regular size to small kitchen if you really want to go crazy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a home, anything that you can upgrade it to make it less maintenance is always a good thing as far as return on your investment with that. Whether it's going from a vinyl siding to brick, or more so like a frame siding is more what I meant, to a vinyl or a brick that's just got less maintenance. Those are always things that help. But again,
and also, don't you think efficiency is a big deal anymore? People want to know what the utility bills are and all that. So caulk the windows. Little things like
little
that.
Things, yeah, absolutely.
Even just 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said efficiency was as big of a deal as I think it is now. Even in rental properties, we've got renters that we've been putting in new windows in a couple of our houses, and they really like that. We actually lost someone on one of our houses that didn't have new windows because they were afraid of efficiency. I think in the past, to get the more efficient things was starting to get cost preventative, but now it's prices of those things are starting to come down to where you can afford to get the more efficient product is not much more, if any more, than what the standard product has been. So that's starting to make a big difference. In new construction, I'm sure Mark can attest to this too, it's starting to become more of a big deal with extra insulation, windows, furnace.
You bet. You bet.
It's really starting to matter, especially in new construction, where, again, 3, 4, 5 years ago, people would like it, but they weren't willing to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Back 3 or 4 years ago, when let's go back 5 or 6 years ago when things were really, really booming. People really didn't ask, about your insulation and this, that, and the other. I mean, they was aware. Okay, hey, it has insulation up there. That's fine. We don't care. Now people are more aware of it. And what we have done is, Jeremy Atchley, that's on the program, Energy-Wise. Jeremy sat down with our framers and showed them the proper way to frame a wall where an inside wall meets an outside, so it can be insulated behind it. We caulk all the joints, all the sills, we foam everything. But people are asking about that now.
Yeah.
Are you doing this? Or, what kind of insulation are you putting in the walls? How efficient are your houses?
Absolutely.
What kind of furnaces? And people are way more aware of that now than they were 5 or 6 years ago. Back when things was really booming, people, all they thought about was, we're getting a new house.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
But now more and more people are very aware of the construction and want to know about that.
Well, and a lot of things go into that. I mean, rising utility costs.
Sure.
To be able to cut down on your utility bill and not have it fluctuate so much.
I bought some propane the other day. I can tell you all about rising utility costs.
Exactly.
And thank goodness I got it at $2.20 a gallon instead of $3 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people out there on propane tanks, pre-buy in the summer.
Yeah.
It's always cheaper, almost always cheaper.
Oh, it
pre-buy
is.
in the
It is.
summer.
Yeah. I didn't have that option because we didn't close on our print shop until the end of the year, and so then I had to put, so.
Yeah.
But trust me, I went and talked to him. We will be on pre-buy next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. So, not changing the subject any, but I guess I am changing the subject, come to think of it, because this is something that's really important. I showed you this before we came in this
Yes.
morning. We have talked on the show so many times about your dryer vent. The other morning at the coffee shop, one of the guys mentioned the fact that some elderly folks of his was having a problem. They thought maybe their dryer was plugged up or something. It wasn't drying right, and the dryer was getting hot and stuff. And I said, hey, you need to have that dryer vent cleaned out. And so we called Spring Mountain Air, made an appointment. Well, he got to thinking about it, and so he went under there and pulled that off. And it was amazing.
It was almost solid.
It was, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Plugged
and
solid.
Plugged solid. I got the pipe. If anybody want to see it, I'd be glad to show you the proof of what a dryer vent can do. It's just, and this house was built in 1987, and so it probably never been cleaned out. Well, apparently it never been cleaned out.
I can tell you it hasn't been.
So I can't stress enough.
And that's where fires start.
Exactly.
They were fortunate that they were aware that they needed to do something.
Yeah. So check that dryer vent. I mean, this is just amazing. And if you want to see the proof, I have it in my truck because I said I got to take that with me.
Yeah.
And so
that's probably something I need to do too. I haven't checked mine in quite a long time.
I tell you what, and he's in construction and stuff, so he just went ahead and replaced the whole vent.
Sure,
but
which was a good idea because it was clogged so solid, and the vent was old, and it was.
And you guys can't, it'd have been probably a couple more weeks till we get warm enough, because your equipment don't work when it gets this cold,
it freezes up just like
Sure.
diesel trucks and everything else when it's this cold.
So it was going to be a couple weeks, before y'all could get over there. But I urge folks, call Spring Mountain Air and have them come over, spend the $125, whatever it is, get your dryer vent cleaned out, because I don't see what kept this from not catching on fire.
I don't either.
It was amazing.
And we have cleaned some out that bad.
Yeah.
Our guys have come back and said it was plugged solid
Mm-hmm.
all the way through the whole pipe. And how long do you think that pipe was? Probably,
Oh, that piece there was probably 5 foot.
5 or 6 foot.
Yeah.
So it was a relatively short run. And some people that have those longer runs, they tend to clog even more than the short runs because it takes more to push it out of there.
Mhm, yeah.
So if you have a long run in your dryer van,
yes.
you're going to clog up faster than even
Yeah.
that 5 foot one
Yeah.
did. But
And this one, he said, went straight down, one elbow on it, went straight out. Now, I don't know how far it was to the outside wall, but this section here was, like I say, about 5 foot.
Yeah.
And it's completely, all the way through.
Solid.
Yeah.
it's completely,
Mm-hmm.
you would have to beat it out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. So,
Now I'm nervous about looking at mine because it has been a couple of years since I've done that.
And it can kind of cake like concrete in there because
Yeah.
the moisture and then and it just keeps getting harder and packing and it can almost be like concrete. We've had to go in and actually kind of chisel it
Chisel them
out.
out. Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. So this, we got the proof right out here.
Yep.
What it can look like. It's
amazing.
It is. So if you haven't done that, why, get it done.
We're up on a break. We're going to have to go right now, but we will be back shortly with some more home repairs and solutions, so please come back.
Now if you've got a problem and you don't know what to do, your siding's going bad and you're plagued with green mildew. Well, your faucets, they all drip and your sinks are all clogged up too. Well, there's no need to worry. I'll tell you what you can do. Just call Home Repairs and Solutions. Home Repairs and Solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house. They'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home Repairs and Solutions.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. A red flag warning is in effect for the Ozarks until 8 p.m. today. Strong gusty winds and low humidity will increase the likelihood of wildfires across the area. A Springfield man has now been charged in the shooting death of a man who lived with him just west of the city. 51-year-old Gordon Knight is charged with first-degree involuntary manslaughter in the death of 60-year-old Jackie Swearingen. Detectives say Knight and Swearingen were drinking, smoking marijuana, and shooting guns before the victim was shot in the face. And investigators have revealed the cause of the fire that destroyed industrial wood products near Ozark. They say it was ashes from an incinerator that caused the massive blaze. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
And join us for America's First News, Monday through Saturday at 6:05 a.m. on the Wall Street Journal this morning on AM 560 KWTO.
SCS Home Entertainment has done it again. Now you'll find uncompromised excellence in our new game room area of the store. Now offering two of the finest pool tables on the planet available from Presidential Billiards and A.E. Schmidt. Tabletop shuffleboards from Champion, pub tables and chairs, bar cabinets, entertainment credenzas, and furniture from top name brands. Real furniture that's factory assembled so you won't have to read a book to put it together. See it all live in person at the store or shop our new lines on the web at scshomeentertainment.com.
Hi, this is my dad, and he's an advertising executive. Hi, this is my mom, and she's an algebra teacher.
What would your child say if you never received your degree? Kickstart your career by finding the right college for you at Degree Solutions for free. And did you know that college graduates can make more than those with just a high school diploma?
I'm really proud of you, Mom.
Call Degree Solutions, 800-908-0540. That's 800-908-0540.
Welcome back to Science Today. And the next caller is 9-year-old Philip. Hi, well I know the molecular formula for glucose, C6H12O6, and the general formula for an alkene is CnH2n plus 2, but I can't seem to find any scientific formula for Bob.
Bob?
My goldfish.
Are you ready for kids who eat healthy? Good nutrition can lead to great things. To find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed, go to mypyramid.gov. Brought to you by the Ad Council and USDA.
Increasingly windy today with mostly sunny skies, high 35 with the AccuWeather real field temperatures below 0. Partly cloudy and windy overnight, low 29. We'll see sunshine mixed with clouds tomorrow. It'll be breezy and not as cold, high 44. And Sunday's looking breezy and mild with a blend of sun and clouds, high 55. But temperatures will fall throughout the afternoon. I'm AccuWeather's Jeremy Pearson.
It's 21 degrees at AM 560 KWTO.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
And we are back.
We are. Welcome back. It's good to be back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're known as the Buck and Roy of the Ozarks Talk Radio, or the
I don't know if
Porter
I'm
and
Buck
Dolly,
or Roy.
or
Well, yeah, well, I don't fit the Dolly vision.
Conway and Loretta. Oh, we just have a good time around here.
We do.
Yeah,
and you know, we were talking at the break, and I told Ron, I said, when we get back on, we need to give out your contact information, because
Yes.
we just start talking, and if someone needs to buy or sell a home, they need to know how to get a hold of you.
Oh, exactly. Pretty easy to get a hold of me. You can get on our website, is thehartmangrouprealestate.com. There's all our contact information on there. Again, that's thehartmangrouprealestate.com, or my cell phone is 417-766-3559.
There we go. We'll give that again later, because you're pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, I try to.
So we'll do that again. So get your paper and pencil ready.
Yeah.
We'll slow him down the next round, and you'll have a better chance of getting that information written down.
It's a fast-moving world. You got to be ready.
It is. Yeah, you got to be ready.
That's right.
You got to be ready when the time is right.
Yeah. So, hey, on a fun note here, you know my buddy Gene Reisner.
Yes, I do.
Well, Gene just got back off of a big cruise that his group, White River, they went and played on, and there was several others on the boat, but he ran into a guy named Gene Dove, and a lot of people know Gene Dove. He was with the Ball Knobbers for like 32 years, a great singer. Well, Gene Dove rides Gold Wings. And,
he does?
Yes, and so Gene Reisner had always talked to me about, said, one of these days I'm gonna get me, So, I used to, when I had my heart surgery, Gene took my Harley and rode it a little bit, and he's just like, well, it's okay, but I still want to Gold Wing. Well, he got to ride Gene Dove's Gold Wing.
Oh,
the other
wow.
day. And so guess where Gene Reisner's going today?
To the Gold Wing motorcycle store.
He found one, I think, down in Springdale, Arkansas. It's a used one, and it is beautiful. And I asked him this morning, and I said, "Are you going to ride that thing back today?" And he's like, "No, don't think I will." He said, "But if you want to go with me,"
I would either.
He said, "If you want to go with me, you can ride it back for me." I'm like,
does it have like heated seats and a furnace in the front to blow on you? And my goodness, that'd be horrible today.
Yeah,
It's supposed to get up to 37. It's starting to warm up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Ron.
Yeah. Now Gene Doves, they have heated suits, heated grips.
Oh yeah, you can get all that. Yeah.
But so anyway, we're going to lose Gene to the Honda. Of course, I'm riding a Honda right now, so that's okay.
Hey, it's all good.
It's all good.
This is what I tell people: you need to ride what you like and what fits you. That's like driving a car.
Yeah.
One of my girlfriends, and if she's listening, she's going to get me. But she's little. Mm-hmm. She's this tiny little thing, and she drives this huge SUV. It looks like no one's driving the car down. I'm like, really? And I said, I don't know how you reach the pedals. Well, it's got those, she can extend them up, and I'm thinking, you need to be driving a Volkswagen Bug or something. I mean, So, and my oldest granddaughter is going to be 16 in May.
Really?
And yeah, I look good for 39, don't I?
Oh, you do.
But anyway, she's going to be getting her driver's license and all that kind of thing. And she's looking for cars. And what I say is, Brittany, you've got to find a car that fits you, where you can reach everything. You can reach the pedals comfortably, that you're not sitting on top of the steering wheel or 10 feet away from, So when you're looking at a car, you need to find what fits you. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what it is. So if a Honda fits you, ride a Honda. If a Harley fits you, ride a Harley. That's my thing.
That's right. There you go. Doesn't matter what you ride. It's just that you ride.
That's right. And enjoy it and have
enjoy
fun.
it and have fun.
You betcha. You betcha.
So yeah, congratulations on Gene for getting.
Yeah, you have a riding buddy now.
Yeah, well, he's been riding a Suzuki Intruder for quite some time. Nice bike. That's what we took to Colorado, But yeah, he's going to be in style on this Go Wing. I'm excited for him.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, congratulations, Gene.
Yep, that's right. So.
And I would be putting that sucker on a trailer and dragging it home today.
I would too, no doubt. So, interest rates are still good.
Still good. Yep, absolutely.
Is it any easier to qualify now, or is that stiffened up a little bit, or which way are we going on the qualifying?
Well, I personally have thought when they did start restricting things as far as qualifications for loans, that was needed to be. That's what kind of got us in this situation was
You're right. Yeah.
unqualified people getting loans. And part of it was the bank's fault, part of it was the consumer's fault. There's a lot of blame to go around on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody can be guilty in the same pot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as it's always been, if you have decent credit, you don't even have to have great credit. If you just have decent credit, a minimum down payment of at least 3.5% for an FHA loan, and you have a job to produce income, you're probably going to qualify to buy a house.
Now, it might not be the $300,000 house.
You got to live within your means.
You got to start at the beginning.
Exactly. You got to live within your means. So if you have a job, good credit, and a little bit of money for a down payment, and again, depending on your area, if you're in an outlying area that could do a rural development loan, you wouldn't even have to have the down payment money or a VA loan for veterans. I know they have a minimum down payment.
I was going to ask you if there were any zero downs anymore. I know VA used to be that way.
VA still is. They charge I believe it's a 2% fee, processing fee for it, or whatever you want to call it, that I think that's just tacked onto the loan.
I see.
And then the USDA rural development ones are the only two that are regularly around. There's some bond money ones, but I've never really been a huge fan of those. Generally, they're a little higher interest rate or something like that. But the USDA and the VA ones are the two best ones.
Now, the USDA is only available in certain areas, though, correct?
Yeah, it is not available in Springfield, Nixa, or Ozark. But the rest of the surrounding towns are currently eligible for USDA loans. You have to meet certain income guidelines, credit score guidelines, and you got to be able to qualify for it. It's not necessarily going to work for everybody. But those are the two options the two best options as far as low down pay or no down payment. But again, 3.5% on a house isn't that much when you're comparing it to a 20% down payment for a lot of conventional loans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Back years ago, if you didn't have the 20% down or
you
whatever, you didn't buy a house. Yeah. That's just the way it was.
Yeah, there was, you had to borrow it from your mom and dad or something. But, yeah, everything used to be 20% down.
Yeah.
And they didn't have all these other options for folks like they do now.
And to go back to the interest rate for just a minute, when people say interest rates are starting to get a high, in my lifetime, the interest rates were 17% at one point.
Our first home, we got it for 12%, and we were happy.
Exactly.
And it was a $40,000 house for 30 years.
Keep things in perspective a little bit when we're talking about high interest rates compared to what they were back in the 80s.
Absolutely.
4.5%, 5% is nothing. That's still almost free money.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. And when you spread it out over, 20 or 30 years at that rate, and then you look at how much interest you pay per, it's very small.
Yeah.
It really is very small.
Compared to what it could be. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. It's and like you say, what got us in trouble first off was people was buying homes that shouldn't have been able to buy a home that they couldn't afford. And so I can't put all the blame on the banks,
Not all of it.
No, I mean, a person should know hey, I can't afford.
Yeah,
this.
they know how much money they make in
They
a month,
make,
and they
yeah.
see what their house payment is.
Yeah.
Then they should be able to say, well, the bank may be willing to give me that money, but I can't afford it.
Can't
Yeah.
afford it. Yeah.
Well, because the other part of that is, and especially if you're a new homeowner, what you have to remember is when that dishwasher breaks or something works, you don't call someone and they fix it for free.
yeah.
That's on you. So
Yep.
you need to make sure that, maybe you qualify for 130,000. Maybe you should be looking to buy at 120,000.
Yep.
Instead of 130, something like that. And then you'll have a little bit of income there, so that if you do have a situation come up, you're going to have to take care of the repairs and maintenance on your own.
You've got to plan for that stuff. and
That's on you when you're the homeowner.
that's why a lot of people do prefer to rent for longer, or fewer people, but some even rent just the majority of their life, so
Right.
they never have to come up with that money right away. And
for repairs.
And a lot of people will say, oh, that the landlord has to pay for that. And my counter to that is, well, you actually pay for it because
in the rent you pay.
you pay
sure.
for it in the rent. I mean, it's just
Right.
over time, and so it's never a free ticket just because the landlord's paying for it. You're the one paying for it, because if the
Yeah.
most landlords, if they're a investor who's been doing it a while, they're making money even after their house payment's been paid.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
they've got it account set aside for when things like this happen, so it's not a burden on them. But it could go for either one. Some people do like that peace of mind of not having to come up with that
Worry about
money out of
repairs.
pocket, and for them that's great, and I'm fine with it because I have some rental houses and those people are helping me out
Sure.
too.
Well, or if someone maybe they have a job where they have to be mobile,
Yep.
then renting sometimes makes more sense, because then if your job sends you somewhere, then you're not stuck with trying to sell a house here and different things like that. I know some companies, and I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to, if they moved you, they would either buy your house or whatever. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, but then
Depends
you're
on
not,
the company, yeah.
But I would say that, if you're in a position where your job requires a lot of mobility, or I know someone who his job requires him to be gone a lot, and he's home maybe 6 days out of the month. Okay, it makes more sense for him to rent.
Yeah.
Than to be a homeowner, because he only spends like 6 days a month there.
Well, and also going back to the being mobile as far as transferring with jobs, we often tell people if you don't think you're going to be in that one house for 3 to 5 years, then don't buy. You'll be lucky if you break even as far as your closing cost and sales commissions and stuff like that. And it would just not be a wise choice of money when it would be easier to rent so you could drop whenever you needed to.
Now, this goes back several years, but my ex-father-in-law taught economics in high school. And like I say, this is probably 30 years ago, but I think the principle probably stays about the same. They sat and figured it up one time in his class. And like you say, if a person is not going to stay in that house, what's the average, like 7 years? I think we say we used to be.
Someone moves every about 7
somebody
years,
moves
yeah.
about every 7 years. But they figured it up considering, your rent versus, your house payment with interest and everything, estimated
Insurance, property
repairs, insurance,
taxes.
property taxes, and everything. And for the first 10 years, you were better off to rent because you actually spent less. After that, it started going the other way.
Yeah.
And so, it made sense when you sit down and look at it. All of us, I think, have that urge to be homeowners. We want, it's nice to say, yes, this is my home. I own this. And, if you're the kind of person that likes to, like me, do little remodeling things and stuff, if it's somebody else's place, you can't do that.
Yep.
And so, but for the folks that know that they're going to move 3 or 4 years, if you can get you a nice place now, you have to be the kind of people, too, that takes care of a place. I mean, it's a little more when you rent than it is if you own.
Absolutely.
But, so, yeah, I can see why some people would prefer to rent.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got to fit the person, too. And as long as that's right for them, then that's the best thing.
Absolutely. Everyone should do what's right for them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what everybody else thinks. They're not paying your bills.
That's
they're
right.
not, they're not living your lifestyle. So
just why Gene would rather ride a Honda than a Harley.
There you go. It works for him.
Yeah, that's
right. It's all good.
It's all good. That's
all
true.
good.
That's
It's all
true.
good.
But there is some good deals out there still yet if you do want to become a homeowner. Like you were saying, the USDA loans. is a great deal. You just well, let me tell you, and this people need to, if you're thinking about buying a home. I run into this situation just over the last month. I had a home north of Fairgrove that I had listed and sold, and the folks that are buying it, they did one thing that we always tell people not to do, and that's during the process of that home loan that they've applied for, going to underwriting and everything else. Don't go charge anything. Don't go buy furniture.
Go buy a car.
Go buy a car or anything. These folks did. We were supposed to close 2 weeks ago. What happened? Come time to the closing, they pulled right at the last minute. Pulled their credit. Their score had dropped 40 points.
Oh, that's
below
big.
The minimum that they had to have.
Yeah, that's big.
Well, why did this happen? Well, Christmas, we went and used the charge cards, this, that, and the other. So we're still working on that, trying to get that straightened out. So watch your credit. If you think that you're going to be in the market to buy a house, start now, making sure your credit reports are correct. If there's issues, I've seen issues on credit reports that's just almost impossible to get changed.
I would say almost everybody has an issue on their credit report because
especially if you have very new credit or if you've had credit issues in the past. Yeah, if your credit line's right on the verge, definitely do not go out and spend a whole bunch of money on a credit card. Even if you have really good credit and you just bought a house, wait 30 days to buy your new car.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be right then and there.
Right. So, there's things that people can do. And, if you think you're wanting to buy, go get pre-qualified.
Yep.
We like that. Ron, when folks come to us and say, well, we're wanting to buy a house, and
first thing I ask is, have you talked to a lender?
Exactly.
Have you talked to a bank?
Yeah, because there's no use, number one, us showing them something that they can't afford.
Yep.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Oh, absolutely.
But we want to know that they can actually buy a house.
Yeah.
And so there's things like that you as potential homeowners can do to prepare yourself to get ready to buy the house. It makes it so much easier.
And it gives them good things. One, we know what price range to look in. Like you said, the worst thing as an agent I can do is show someone a house that they can't afford, because then all the houses they can't afford aren't going to look good compared to that higher price.
Sure.
Right.
And then two, you know your credit score then. And then thirdly, when you do find the house that you want to buy, you don't have to wait to talk to the bank. You're ready to write that offer then and there. So
exactly.
You don't have to wait a couple days where another offer might be able to come in and take it away from you.
And to get pre-qualified, it doesn't cost anything.
Doesn't cost anything.
And it doesn't take that long.
A lot of banks can do it over the phone.
Yeah.
And they'll do it based on your income that you have, and they can run a quick credit check. Like, it doesn't take that long. I mean,
and it's at no cost to you. So find out what someone is going to lend you before you start looking for a house.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get real nervous when they find out banks are going to be checking their credit score, because they think it's going to hurt their credit score real bad. But when a bank does it, it's considered they call it a soft hit on your credit. And so it's not going to affect your credit score like with a credit card company do it, or going to buy a car to do it. So you don't need to have every bank you talk to run your credit score, but having one or two of them run it to check them and compare them, that's not going to hurt you at all. And then if you want to talk to any more banks, you can just tell them what your credit score is. Eventually, they'll have to run it if you go with that bank, but they won't need to until you decide on that.
Yeah. And be honest with them about what your credit
exactly.
score is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because they're going to find out.
Yeah.
They're going to find out what your income is. They're going to find out all these things, so just make it easier.
Because you're going to have to verify that before they give you the loan.
Yeah. They're not. Believe me, they're not going to take your word. They're going to need to see documentation of
W-2s
of all that good stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the biggest thing. I think people, they'll think, oh, well, I had this little hit on my, with the credit card that I didn't pay, or they went into got in trouble on it, and but they'll never know that. Well, they're gonna know it.
They're gonna know it.
And then not only us as realtors that spent hour after hour showing them houses and trying to get them in something, then we're gonna be a little aggravated too. Well, why didn't you tell us this?
Exactly.
Or tell the lender this, and so
and why set yourself up for disappointment?
Exactly.
I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Not only, would they be wasting your time, but they're wasting their time, and then they're just setting themselves up for disappointment. It's just always better to be upfront and honest about what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they can help you through some issues.
Yeah.
If you have some credit issues and they find them and you're honest with them, they go,
Yeah.
you know, we
Here's
can
what
help
you
you
do to
with
take
that.
care of this. Yeah, it'll take-
Exactly.
Yeah.
And take care of it.
Most good loan officers or lenders will work with you to try to straighten things out because they want your business too.
Absolutely. Sure. Sure.
One kind of good thing of speaking of credit histories and stuff like that, it doesn't take that long for the people who had foreclosures like a few years ago due to job loss and stuff like that. Those people are able to start buying homes again now, depending on the reason of your foreclosure.
Right.
If you can show that it was due to a job loss or big financial hardship like that, I think the minimum amount of time is 3 years. So for the people who started losing their jobs in 08, 09, 2010, they're starting to be able to qualify
Right.
for homes again, assuming that they've repaired some of their credit issues. And again, it depends on what were the reasons that they lost that. But
Yeah.
things are starting to look around quite a bit.
Yep. Yep. I think we're 2014 is going to be a good year.
I'm looking forward to it. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think it is too. I have another question on the USDA thing that just occurred to me. Since
Yeah.
that's all rural type properties, do you have to have a certain amount of acreage to qualify for that, or can it be just a single family home in a subdivision?
It can just be a single family home in the subdivision as long as the address isn't excluded by USDA as far
Okay.
as the city that it's in.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily. You don't have to actually go buy like 5 acres to
Nope.
qualify. For,
Nope.
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a misleading term. You know, most people they think USDA, they think like grade of beef, not going out to get a loan.
Yeah, that's
so
true. That's true.
It took me a while to realize that was a loan. I mean, I was probably in business for a couple years, and I was like, why are they getting these beef loans? What are they talking about?
Yeah.
You're so funny. Why don't you give out your information? We're about to run out of time, and I want you to do that again. I know people have their paper and pencil
Okay,
ready now,
I'll-
so
I'll-
Slow down
and,
now.
and
Pause
don't go it.
Slow
Don't you know?
down.
It's not a race. You can
Okay,
slow down a
okay.
little bit.
All right. Again, most of my contact information is out on my website. It's the HartmanGroupRealEstate.com. That's the HartmanGroupRealEstate.com, or my cell phone is 417-766-3559, or the office phone at Remax House of Brokers is 887-5333.
There you go. Lots of ways to get a hold of Ron. If you want to
Any way
buy
you
or
want.
sell,
That's right.
he can help you whichever direction you want to go. Or maybe you're wanting to sell one over here and buy one over here. He can do that
Even
too.
better. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. That way he can help you through the whole entire process. And I think it would be easier to work with one realtor when you're trying to do that than with two. I think that would be really confusing.
A big thing with real estate that we always say is it's all about the relationship.
It is.
Most of our business is referral based, past clients, friends, family. So yeah, if you can have a good professional relationship with your realtor, it does make it easy when you're just use them for each deal that you're doing, especially if they're back to back like that, because there's a mutual trust that you have there. Hopefully they're looking out for your best interest.
Keep it simple. That's my motto.
Yeah.
Don't,
Absolutely.
Don't
Yeah.
muck everything up.
Absolutely.
And-
We're about to run out of time.
Yes, we are.
We got about less than 30 seconds, I think. So I wanted to thank you for being our guest again today, Ron. It's always great to see you and have you on the show.
Always enjoy it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for listening today.
That's right.
What you got going on, buddy?
Tomorrow we're having our big yearly board meeting for the Greater Ozarks Bluegrass Association. That's where we sit and go over everything for the year, set our budget and stuff. So that's an all-day meeting tomorrow. Sunday's just relax in the recliner.
That's all good. Watch
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. No football on this weekend. I
That's
don't. Well,
right.
there may be some
I
bowl
don't
games.
remember.
But
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, but it's
I'm not
gonna
a
be
sports
great
commentator.
weekend.
Don't ask me when football is.
Yeah. So.
You do heating and air, not
I
football.
do
Yeah.
heating and air,
Yeah.
and now printing.
And now printing, yes.
Yeah. So I'll be out River Bluff Sunday morning, and so anyway, that's my weekend.
Well, thanks everyone for being with us today.
That's right. This is Home Repairs and Solutions. We're heard every Friday morning from 10 to 11 right here on AM 560 KWTO.
Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house. They'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.